Hello everybody, my name's Annie and today we've got a special request and we're going to actually talk about empaths. Now empaths are very sensitive people and they sense a lot of things. They can walk into a room and know if somebody's happy or know if somebody's really sad, whether there is with sadness, even if everybody's smiling or happy or showing signs of being happy, there is still someone in the room that's really sad. There still has a tendency to talk to them. They sense a lot more than the average person. So it's actually quite difficult to actually be an empath. Understanding that to be an empath is to actually have all these feelings, these emotions, and you have to keep asking yourself, are these my emotions or are these somebody else's? You have to go through the process of trying to work out, are these mine or somebody else's? When you run into the situation of, perhaps you're feeling extremely depressed, but is that actually your depression or is that some sadness that you have taken off somebody else? Empaths are great healers and they just naturally take sadness off people. They heal them, they remove it. However, in taking the sadness off the person has to go somewhere, and for a lot of empaths they take it on board as if it's their own. That's a problem because after a few hours it multiplies and it creates sadness within the empath, so they have to be able to get rid of it. So how do you get rid of somebody else's sadness? You actually have to go through with your mind, you have to think about or even name the people who you actually met that day. Sometimes you can't name them, so sometimes you visualize them or you think about this area where you were and your mind will process all those people and you send that sadness to the eternal light forever. Command lines through, make it so. Get rid of that unhappiness. We have a rubbish bin, just like on your computer. It has its recycle bin. We also have what's called a recycle bin, and if you don't know how to empty the recycle bin of all the sadness, you'll collect it, multiply it, and it will create more moods or even anger, pure anger, because you've multiplied it so much. So you have to get rid of it. The easiest method of truly getting rid of it is what my mum taught me as a little girl. I would come home from school and I would have, throughout some part of the day, I would be removing sadness of people. She used to call me a mood stealer, okay? And that wasn't my sadness, that wasn't my bad mood. I would come home and she would call me the Hellcat because I was like a monster. I'd throw things, from being a very placid child to being an extremely angry child. She knew me so well, so she knew there was a problem. So she would sit me down one end of the table with my Milo and my cake. She would sit down the other end of the table with her cup of coffee and her cake. And I would have to list off all the people that I had met that day. And it would take quite some considerable time because, little child, I met lots of people. And I was removing sadness of certain people. And by the end of the day, I'd multiplied it that much. I became a very angry child. And so I had to go through the list. And there were people who I just didn't remember, but I could picture them. I'm really good at picturing. However, you can just think about the people that you met. You don't have to, because your mind is so powerful. It remembers every single person that you met. You may not even be able to know their names, but you just have to take yourself back through time in that moment, in that whole day, those moments of that whole day of the people that you've met, and you'll be able to remove that bad mood because it will start to unravel, unwind, and go away. The thing about it is also with the mood itself, some of us, being very sensitive, we actually can see the colour of the mood. And oh, my mood, it was horrendous because I had multiplied a combination of a whole heap of people's emotions, a whole heap of people's sadness, their unwellness, and it created a horrific dynamic for me as a child. And a lot of children get labelled as perhaps ADD or ADDH. It's hard to know what label the professionals choose. However, being an empath, we collect all the sadness. So by the time I had found and got rid of that bad mood, I had lots of cakes later. It was really good. My mum also told me that I had to practice this to get rid of the sadness that I collected, because she may not always be there for me. So I had to learn, practice the art of getting rid of the sadness. And it was a lot of work. And because I would come home every day, I removed sadness off this one, and I had to go through the process. Is this me? Is this my bad mood? Are these my emotions? Are these my feelings? You imagine having to ask yourself that on a regular basis. Are these mine? Do I actually own these feelings? Where did they come from? And it would be, most of the time, it would be from people whom I had fleetingly walked past, or had spoken a few words to, or somebody in the background, quite a distance away. I stole their sadness and had to get rid of it. And so we would go through this process on a regular basis. Well, one day my mum wasn't home, and my brothers and sisters, my mum taught them to call me a hellcat if I was a real monster. And so my mum wasn't home this particular day. She was out doing something specific. And so I had to have the props, because, that's what we all do. We have props. Wow, this little child had props. So I made myself my Milo and put the cake down on the table. Gotta be prepared. And I had made my mum a cup of coffee, and I put a cake right next on a saucer next to her cuppa. And I sat there and I was asking myself, is this my bad mood? Is this really me? And I'll be looking at the colour of it, because I can see colours. I can see the colours of moods. So not all of us can, but it's all about practice. And, because as being human, we are all very gifted people. We have very powerful minds. It's just that we've been dumbed down. So you have to switch yourself back on. It's a slow process for some of us. Some of us it's really instant, but you've got to go through the process. So I had to go through the process of working out whose bad mood it was. And sometimes it would be quite a number of people's bad moods, because sometimes the mood was really enormous, very frightening in colour. And I had to unravel that world. I had to unravel that bad mood and send it. Okay, so many cakes later, I actually managed to get rid of that bad mood. Felt really good too, because brilliant, I managed to do it by myself. So this is something that you'll have to practice. Practice this particular program. Practice it till you make the program run with you, because it's really, really important that you do that, because it's very, very difficult to actually walk through life collecting other people's sadness and not knowing how to get to empty the recycle bin, so to speak. And in doing this process, you start to practice the art of getting rid of the sadness, this bad mood, and you'll actually find that over time you will just automatically do it. You'll get rid of it. But sometimes we can run into health issues, or perhaps you had a near-death experience or something like that, so you forget. So yeah, come back, go over this video again, and learn how to get rid of the sadness, how to get rid of this bad mood. Because being an empath, it's very difficult to exist in a world where you're collecting sadness. So go through this process and you'll find your life will be a lot easier. Empaths are very sensitive, extremely emotional in some cases. people, and it's really good to have people who are powerful healers in that regard. Okay, so thank you very much, and it's really good talking to you, and I hope this is beneficial and helpful to you. And also pop over to my website. I have it written down below, and yeah, check it out. I do Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and can help you if you require healing. And also too, I also do tarot readings as well. Okay, thank you. Please have a good day. Okay, bye bye.